Hi there, this is Jason Eagle, your natural health authority. Oh, let me take this out. Sorry, I got my bites blown in. We'll talk a little bit about that later. Well, it has to do with today's Healing Matters. And Healing Matters, Jason Eagle, QRA, that's where you can find me on my strategic healing webpage. You can find me jasoneagle.com. Today, we're talking about upper cervical compression and things like dementia, Alzheimer's, cognitive fog, anxiety, all kinds of things. Upper cervical compression. Upper cervical compression, when we're talking upper cervical, we're talking about the very top vertebrae right below where your skull meets your neck. That's where your brain. So really, we're talking about your brain. Talking about how your brain works. This is something that it starts early on and has been definitely related to things like dementia, Alzheimer's, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's, these different types of things, but it also is related to a whole bunch of other things that you wouldn't necessarily think of. And these are things that, so for instance, upper cervical compression can be diagnosed too, even by a doctor or chiropractor, as stenosis, spondylosis, which is it's compressed nerve roots. So your brain controls everything, right? And again, a person with Alzheimer's, dementia, cognitive, even brain fog. People have brain fog. Can't remember what I was doing, or I can't remember why I came in here, or I got a song stuck in my head, or I just can't, there's all different forms of that. And it starts with that. Now, a lot of times people associate Alzheimer's and dementia and all this other stuff with some real serious brain problems. But what if it's coming from your brain is being choked by your neck, by your head coming forward and pinching off on the nerve roots, pinching off on the blood flow, as well as the oxygen flow from the blood flow, as well as the cerebral spinal fluid. Your cerebral spinal fluid is your brain. And okay, the neurologic signs and symptoms can be something that you would never think of. So the early warning signs of, let's say, the real scary stuff that people don't want, which would be dementia, Alzheimer's, the blah, 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 later, can start off as very, very basic stuff that you wouldn't think have anything to do with that. One of the first things that can be a start of it would be eye problems, having to start to wear glasses, having your glasses prescription increase, going up and up, like I need stronger types of glasses. That wonky eye, you'll see that one when a person looks at something and they look back and forth, and if one eye kind of strays, or even you can see the person, that has that wonky stray eye that kind of looks like that hillbilly eye. Again, people can be born that way, but people can develop that, and they can develop it from a head trauma, let's say a concussion. But so a lot of people, maybe you don't know that a concussion, that head trauma, can lead to dementia, Alzheimer's, this type of stuff. And that's pretty easy to kind of think about, which is you got your head smacked. Concussion means your brain smacked on the inside of your skull and creates bruising and then scar tissue, and then we can see that. That's a traumatic type of thing. And we know too that people that have had a concussion they walk away fine from it. And it's years later, decades later, that this starts to show up. The football syndrome, football players that, they're in their prime of their life, and then they retire in their 40s, and then in their 50s, they're just like a quivering old man, and they lost their brain. Okay. That's brain trauma. Okay. But think about spinal compression as the slow the very slow, constant pull that you start to see it as what's called forward head carriage, which is, if you look at a person from the side, if they have good posture, their ear is lined up with their shoulder, right? But then as people get further and further along, you see their head starts to go forward. Their head is kind of droop forward, or especially being on screens, you can see people's heads. Now, as it moves forward, it starts to pull. If your shirt was taped to the back of your head, if you pulled your head forward, it would lift your shirt up. You'd see your shirt collar come up. You'd even see the shirt at your low back, because it's all connected. So since the head goes forward and the spinal cord is connected, as it moves forward, it starts to pull and it starts to compress, the nerve roots. But it also starts to compress this very, very all-important nerve called the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve is there's two parts of your nervous system. There's the sympathetic nervous system. That's the fight or flight response, which is fight, flight, get out of here, hunt, gather, this type of thing, or be the scared rabbit, which is just hide until they don't find me. Now, that's important when we are in emergency things, and there's a lot of emergency things, The sympathetic nervous system is when you're doing your banking, right? When you're doing math, it's that part of the system, okay? Then there's the parasympathetic nervous system, which is a completely separate one, and that's the relax, yawn, get ready for bed. I feel better. Whew. That's the vagus. The vagus system regulates digestion. The vagus system regulates production of hormones. It's the healing process. The parasympathetic nervous system of the vagus system is aging, and aging well, or aging not well, or getting ready to die. So when the vagus nerve shuts off, what happens is the sympathetic nervous system gets stuck, and we get stuck in fight or flight type of thing. And you go down swinging, or you hide in a corner. So vagus nerve, the spinal compression, cognitive fog can be also related to a lot of things like anxiety, the sympathetic overstimulation, which leads to people, when they go to their doctor for this, their doctor doesn't think anything about saying, you got this forward head posture, you might want to fix that. No, they put you on Prozac, or they put you on Ambien, or they put you on sleeping pills, or they put you on antipsychotic medication, or they put you on an SSRI. Yeah, you're going crazy. Anxiety can have so much to do with this, because as the nerves start to get pinched, basically the brain starts panicking and the brain starts struggling to get out as the straitjacket is put on your nervous system, because your head is pulling forward and crushing, and then your vertebrae then start to crunch forward. As your head slips forward, it starts to compress, and it starts to squeeze like a anaconda and crush your neck and crush your vertebrae. That's what a stenosis is, stenosis is this narrowing, but then you can also have where the bones start to grow together, and then it's fused like that, and it's stuck like that. It's fixable. So even if you have the bones grown together, you can decompress it and melt that away, and over time, get it back, okay? Well, let's go back into some of these early warning signs too. The wonky eye, the blurred vision, or double vision. And, people will tell you that when they get, like, say, migraines and stuff like that. Lots of headaches. Migraine headaches are the early warning sign. And people that get the migraine headaches, they go, I just need to go into a dark room. I'm starting to see blurry. You can have people that have, migraines. I just had a lady in just a little while ago that the symptoms of her migraines is she'd lose vision in one eye. And I'm like, that's crazy, but it's true. And she's like, and how long would it last? Days? No, it just lasts for a few hours. But, like, that's scary. Like, you lose vision and you start to get this blurry vision. having difficulty starting to see, driving at nighttime, that night kind of start to blur things. It's not just your eyes are going bad. Your eyes are a symptomology of, because they're connected to the brain and they're connected directly. And so as the brain starts to pinch, you start to see eye problems. Okay. Like I said, starting to increase your prescription. I need a heavier and stronger prescription. Throat problems, a lot of throat problems, because as you head forward, it starts to pinch and starts to close off your throat. So we start to get speech problems. We start to get, which is the slurred speech or a hoarseness in your speech, a cough, this constant tickle type of cough, this yawning all the time. Difficulty swallowing. Like I used to be able to swallow pills, but now I'm having difficulty swallowing pills. I could take handfuls, but now I can only take one at a time. That is another sign, because that's what the vagus nerve controls, is these autonomic nervous system type of stuff, of swallowing, of breathing, of yawning. Yawning is also not just because you're tired. Yawning is just because the body has to balance out. It's balance between oxygen and carbon dioxide. If you breathe in too much oxygen, you will hyperventilate. And so the body always has to regulate and say, you know what, you need to hold your breath for a little bit. You need to slow your breathing down and hold your breath in or hold your breath out so that we can build up the levels of carbon dioxide. You don't think about this. This is autonomic nervous system. This is autopilot. The very critical systems of your body are built to be autopilot, which is you're not supposed to think about it. But this is where we start to see a lot of some problems in terms of, even when we get into autoimmune disease. People think, well, I've got food allergies. Well, it may not just be food allergies. It may not even be food allergies. It may be that your vagus nerve and your head is crunching your nervous system, and your digestive tract is not working. Your little baby tummy belly is not working because your head is being crunched and your brain is being crunched. These are the early warning signs of that. You could be on your way to, okay, I know it's bad to have to take Tums all the time, but it's nothing like being in a nursing home, not knowing who you are and not knowing who your family is. So could you stop this? Could you identify it and see it? Yes. Let's go back to a little bit of some of the other stuff too. Like I said, it starts with maybe a brain fog, but then we can start to get into, some really bad stuff, which is the Parkinson's, that starts the trembling type of stuff. The MS, the multiple sclerosis, that is even characterized as an autoimmune disease. Now, can be very sophisticated, but it can be as simple as your autoimmune doctor or your autoimmune practitioner is not looking at your neck and is not adjusting your neck, or is not telling you to do your stuff to fix your neck, fix your jaw, neck, and neither of the twain shall meet, and they don't think it has anything to do with it. But it has a huge part to do with it, and that's something that no pill is necessarily going to fix, although there are some supplements that will get into that can start to help it, to start to melt it, to start to rebuild. Because if your neck is compressing and your vertebrae, especially in your neck, especially right here at the base, the C1, C2, starts to crumble and melt together, it's going to pinch on this. So how can I stop that? And then how can I grow that back? Let's go a little bit more in terms of like upper cervical type of stuff. As I said, some of the other warning signs is anxiety, people having panic attacks. Now, what's been going on in the world, as far as the COVID world and lockdowns and masking and all this other stuff, we've gone through a social experiment, and there's a higher level of anxiety. Lots of people dealing with anxiety. Okay. Now, there's lots of people that have increased their level of anti-anxiety medications. There's lots of people that have increased their drinking, have increased their marijuana use, have increased all of this other stuff. Even taking supplements like GABA, the Tranquinol, tyrosine, the lithium, all of these different types of things to help to valerian root. There's a whole bunch of different, even nutraceuticals that are very good at helping with anxiety. However, if you don't put it together that it's your neck and your head and your brain being crunched, taking these things, and we'll even talk about like doing meditation and stuff like that. But even look at a person sitting there I'm doing my meditation, and look at their head. Their head's all crunched. If they don't have a person to sit there and train them and look at them and go, no, your head's completely in the wrong place. Yeah, you're sitting in your lotus position, or yeah, you're sitting down, on the pillow, but your head's in the wrong place. Let's put your head back. I can't. My head can't move back. So this is the thing, is that this is how you fix this, how you head this off of the past, which means you could reduce your anxiety. You could get off of anxiety. If it's coming from your neck being crunched, then there is no necessary need for the anti-anxiety medications, as well as the natural ones. Now, also, this could be the vagus nerve leads into heart. We're also talking about lots of heart troubles. Now, psycho-emotional heart troubles too, like your depression, your sadness, your anger, but also true medical, your high blood pressure, your hypertension, these types of things. Because the vagus nerve is, like I said, it's the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the chill out, honey bunny. It's going to be okay. That goes straight to the heart. It goes straight to your guts. It goes straight to your heart. And so the first thing to calm your heart down, to bring love back into your heart, to remind your heart of love, to remind your heart of contentment, and it's going to be okay. High blood pressure and heart disease is also heart disease, meaning a broken heart, a sad heart. Well, it's very difficult to be happy when your body's all crunched forward and your brain is being, basically crushed, and all the life is being sucked out of it. The life is being sucked out of your heart, as well as causing the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the side that says it's okay. If the only side that's on is, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, that is the sympathetic nervous system. They're supposed to be in balance. There's supposed to be a time for everything, like Ecclesiastes. There's supposed to be a time to panic, but then once you do what needs to be done that the panic tells you, then it's time to calm down and do your work and then go back to life and go to sleep, and it's going to be okay. So here's the other thing that is also a real is sleep apnea. Sleep apnea is very dangerous because if you're stopping sleeping, you're choking your brain. Again, thing that's choking your brain. But what if it's, you're on your CPAP machine and stuff like that, but your CPAP machine person, what are they talking about? The position of your neck, the position of your head, the position of your jaw, right? If those things are crunching your skull, which then, as I said, is it especially at the deep part of the brain, that's affecting the limbics, or not the limbics, that's affecting the vagus nerve, which is the autonomic nervous system, autopilot stuff. Autopilot is so that you keep breathing while you're sleeping, right? Because if you're awake and someone says, calm down, take a deep breath, okay, or you tell yourself, okay, just calm down. But what if you're sleeping and you're having a bad dream and you can't be there to tell yourself, you're asleep, you're passed out. So who's telling you to calm down? You're not. And who's telling you that you are stopped breathing and it's time to start breathing? That's supposed to be autonomic. That's supposed to be, it just does it on its own. You don't have to think about it. It does it on its own. Well, as the vagus nerve starts to pinch, these things that are supposed to do it on their own, they forget to do it, or they don't do it as well. So a lot of the signs are these autonomic type of things of breathing, swallowing, talking, eye movements, and all the other base things, which is, when you're trying to remember why you came into a room, that never happened when you were a kid, because it's seconds away or less than a minute. And it's like, it's on your mind, gotta get toast, gotta get toast, gotta get toast, gotta get. When you start to get this cognitive fog, which is you go in, what you remembered easily before, especially this quick short-term memory. I can remember what I did 32 years ago, but I can't remember where I put my keys. I can't remember why I walked into this room. What was that? Oh, that's right. I wanted toast. And many times you'll see people go back and forth and it's like, what did I go? Oh, and sometimes they forget it twice. I can't, oh my God, I forgot again why I came in here. That is a real sign of, and it's not just your brain is going, it's not just old age. It's this forward head posture of, and this compression. So if you have this compression, what do you do about it? If your head's here, how do I get my head back here and out? How do I get it out? How do I get it back in position? Well, if it's grown that way, you see the chin, you get the double chin type of stuff. And so there's a lot of stuff that has to move, and it takes a long time, but it takes real diligent work. And so what is the work that you would do? Well, one of the first things that you can do is, because the muscles connect to this, you can help to release those muscles. Yes, stretching. Yes, this type of work that you can do, but chemically, your muscles cannot relax unless it has enough magnesium. So Epsom salt baths are a great thing. And that also goes with what I'm talking about later, which is hot cold therapy. But let's start with hot. So an Epsom salt bath. If you have a bathtub, you should be using your bathtub. If you don't have a bathtub, get to a bathtub. A bathtub is such a wonderful technology. It's not just about getting clean. It's not just about Calgon taking me away. It's medicine. So Epsom salt, cheap, you can buy it anywhere. You put 4 pounds of Epsom salt to a full bathtub. You can get them in the 6-pound bags, or you can get them in those 4-pound. Why 4 pounds? People go, God, that's a lot. Well, if you're putting just a handful or 2 pounds, it's not enough. It softens your skin, but it's not enough of the magnesium to literally get into your system. When you put 4 pounds, it's a high enough concentration, and it will absorb through your skin right into your bloodstream. And it will go then to the muscles, and it will relax the muscles. And so I recommend, get your bathtub, fill it up with much hot water as you can, get as hot as you can stand it, get one of those little hand towels or small towels, put it around your neck, and lay there with it, your head at the back of it, and let it warm, and put it in the warm water and lay there into the water. So you're right up to your neck, and you're stretching your neck and getting that hot water on your neck. Okay. Chiropractor, massage therapy, yoga. These are all so important, especially if you can get your chiropractor to do a decompression and not just a fast jerk, which is important. They can do, they're good at that in terms of doing the fast jerk, what's called the ballistic movement. Sometimes your neck is so bad they have to use the activator, and they have to use, hot, cold therapy and lasers and all this other stuff. But the long, slow pull, especially if you can get a chiropractor who can use it with an inversion table, and even having your own inversion table, and even laying there, you don't even have to go all the way upside down, but about 45 degrees, and just do some time there, and then sometime flat, and then sometime there, and you'll feel it. And you're trying to unwind your neck, trying to use gravity. Yawning, getting the jaw open, because getting jaw massage from your massage therapist, or even massaging yourself. You'll find these muscles here. Find the muscles up in the head, up in the temples. Those are all chewing muscles, and those are crunching your brain. So releasing these things is very, very important. Like I said, the inversion table is a great investment, and be careful with it, but start working your way towards it in terms of just using gravity, start to unpull your neck. There are these things that you can buy that are these pump-up things, these pump-up decompression things. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of those, but you can try those. You can see what those do in terms of if it helps you. There are these over-the-door hanger type of things, but, you really need somebody to work with you, somebody like me, somebody who can work with you and stretch, because it's not just in your neck. We're talking about it's in your shoulders, it's in your back, it's all the way down to your back. Then we get into stretching with a foam roller, getting on the floor and stretching, especially the most important one, which is if you got to understand, everything is described by its opposites. Every teeter-totter, every little boy or girl that's at the top of the teeter-totter is there because the one that's at the bottom, okay? So a muscle that's deep in your spine, in your pelvis, that's a spinal muscle, is what's called the psoas. And as the pelvis tips forward or tucks under, that's crunching you down. So your head is crunching down, but also your hips are crunching. You see, you start to, as you get older, and like the dementia people, they start to curl forward and look like a shrimp, like a baby again. You start to kiss your butt. Well, that's what happens. So if you want to unwind your spine and bring your turtleneck out and pull your head out of your ass, you're going to pull your head out of your ass. And you got to open up that lower spine. You cannot do that until you release the leg muscles, especially the big quad muscles and hamstrings. So the hurdler stretch, I'm talking getting down on the floor and rolling around and doing that hurdler stretch and really stretching, the one that you can know how good you are of your hamstrings by being able to touch your toes when you're standing up. Work at it. There are these different stretches that are, like I said, the hurdler stretch, the butterfly stretch. It's the legs. So your legs are also what's pulling your neck down. You can't get your head out of your turtleneck and head out of your ass until you release those legs. Those are the largest muscles in the body. They are the hugest muscles in the body, and they are literally pulling everything down in like a vortex. And so you've got to get into your stretches. Yoga is very important, but you don't have to go to a yoga class, although it's helpful to have somebody, Pilates and stuff like that. But you've got to feel it. And it's not just about stretch. You have to release into it and feel it, where it is a literal release and a really good stretch. Go to Dr. Medici out in California, Medici Enterprises. He has these great videos that are on stretching and what it feels like, stretching at the tendons, stretching to the point of where you get this almost like an orgasmic release, like a good yawn, right? A good yawn or a good pee shiver, which is, sometimes when you have that pee and you go, oh, and you get that shiver, or when you have a good yawn and it just, makes you feel like, oh man, ooh. He talks a lot about, like, look at what dogs and cats do when they wake up in the morning and they stretch and they yawn and they roll on the floor. And my dog Indy, she does this and she rolls her chin and rolls and she groans and everything like that. And she's unwinding her neck, unwinding her spine. Horses and cows do this. You'll see cows and the buffalo. When we went out to Yellowstone, you could see the buffalo that when they're laying in and they're rolling in the dirt and they're rolling in the dust bath. And, the guys think that they know what they're talking about when they're saying, oh, they're getting the mites off their body. They're just getting the parasites off. No, that's not the only thing they're doing. No, in fact, what they're doing is they're rolling in that because it unwinds their spine. It unwinds their neck and unwinds their nervous system because they're eating machines. And their vagus nerve, too, goes to their guts. And if they can't eat, they're going to die. And if they can't digest very well, they're going to die. So you'll see animals like that, especially the herbivores, do a lot of this, like I said, rolling and stretching to unwind their neck and unwind their spine. And you see them feel it and they shiver, right? That's what it should feel like. It should feel like, oh, man. And when you're working with a person, when I'm working with a person and I'm using my tools, like these metal tools of scraping and twisting and crunching, people will be like, oh, that hurts. And then after, oh, God, oh, man, that feels so much better. Like I can see better. I can think better. So I know this works. I know this for myself because I'm doing this with myself. I'm getting my head out of my ass. And that's part of it, is I've started to notice some things like this in myself. That we're all noticing this. I remember my grandpa, we used to joke, my grandpa, you'd drive behind him in his Buick and it looked like there was no driving. It was a ghost car. It's because he was so compressed forward. And I remember before he died a few years, I felt his back and he literally had one vertebrae lumped over her top. He had this huge lump in his back. And he, it was funny, like grandpa got shorter. Well, where did that go? He literally lost probably like 4 or 5 inches, if not maybe even 6 inches. And it was because he crumbled. And eventually, my grandpa died of a stroke and stuff like that. So this can lead to a whole bunch of other stuff. But, he was born in the early 1900s. We didn't know about this stuff. Yeah, we did, but, we didn't. So we know about it now. Okay. So hot and cold therapy, basically, like you go to the Schwitz, or you can get the hot tub and then the cold shower, or the going into the hot sauna and then into the cold immersion tank. There are therapy places that do this, and what it does is it squeezes your body and it pumps your spine, and it will pump this sympathetic, parasympathetic nervous system. And when I go to the Schwitz and I do about 10 rounds of in this room that is 180 degrees, and when you sit up and they throw water into where the hot rocks are, it can get up to like 230 degrees, like, whoa, man, and you're sweating buckets. And you then go and you jump into this cold pool, and it just, oh, man, and you go back and forth. And on Wednesday nights, they have all males, and then another night they have all females, and then they have a mixed together night where you got to wear swimsuits, but it's a great place. And it's the old, Russian Jewish schwitzes, like you saw in the Blues Brothers, but even better. This is all wood and oh my God, it's amazing. But it's therapy for the body. You look at these animals, these baboons and monkeys that are the Chinese monkeys that are in the hot. They're living in the Himalayas in the cold, but they're soaking in those hot thermal vents, and they're zoned out, man. And that's, animals do this. We're an animal. We're losing it, but we can get it back using hot cold therapy in order to melt you and unwind you. And after you do that, then you do your stretching, and then you do your foam rolling, and you're doing, all of this type of stuff. You can eventually get your neck out. Having a chiropractor, massage therapist to work with you to start to get this out. If it's really, really started to form where the bones have all kind of grown together, there's this other therapy, what's called Prolotherapy, where there's these doctors that can inject it, and they're injecting it with something as simple as saline solution. And what? It's just salt water. What does that do? Well, you can inject it into the body right at these joints, and it causes the body to go into a healing process where it then melts this with the enzymes of your body and then starts to rebuild it. We can also add these enzymes. There's a couple products. Premier Research Labs makes these products that used to call phytozymes, but now it's called inflammacidin. And I'm telling you what, I've used it with people that have had like their knuckles that are all like bent from like really bad arthritis in their neck and stuff like that. And they've been on steroids for decades of their life. After a couple months, they're never going back of the inflammacidin. I'm having such astounding results because what it is you take it on an empty stomach. It's what's called proteolytic enzymes. It does digest protein. I talked about this on my last show. All scar tissue is made out of protein, and that's what's forming inside your vertebrae. That's what's forming and starting to pinch. So it's all gunked up and it's all grown together. Well, you have to ungrow it. You've got to melt it. So by putting the inflammacidin, then I also there's another product that they just came out with, which is called Premier Joint and Disc, that will rebuild it. It has high hyaluronic acid and some other stuff in there that is classic type of joint stuff, but the most premier quality that you can get in just the right formula. When you combine these two things together, you're going to notice that in your shoulder. Yeah, I know people that have had shoulder and knee injuries because they've been runners and they've been on it for about a month, and they're saying it's astoundingly different. It's hugely different. That's the joint and disc. But you got to understand, your joints and discs are in your neck. And those joints, even those what's called synovial joints, like the fingers and the elbows and stuff, you got this stuff inside your vertebrae. And the neck is this most important thing you want to get unwound because if it's starting to pinch on your brain, it takes decades for it to really get really bad. But really bad is really bad. Like, it would suck to not be able to remember. And I've had family members that, it was horrible for them. But for me, I was able to, I have a way of working with people, and especially Alzheimer's people. It's okay if they don't remember you. It's fine. Just read them a story and read them a book and ask them about their time in their life years ago. And they can't remember what they just ate, but they can remember 40 years ago, and just talk to them. And it's okay that they don't remember. But wouldn't it be great if you could rescue these people by working, who in the Alzheimer's place is working with these people's necks? Who's working with these people's brains? Who's working with their jaws? Who's fixing their jaw to help to unhinge this so that it can then start unsqueezing their brain? We put these things together, and it would be great if you started before it gets bad. People that are dealing with anxiety, people that are dealing with anxiety in the world that the way it is right now. Excuse me. What if you really found that it was an early warning sign? And, could we turn this, lemons into lemonade? Yes. Because the people that are having higher levels of anxiety, there's a huge correlation. Look at their spine, look at their heads. It's telling them, it's the canary in the coal mine telling them, like, it's not just the COVID, it's not just the lockdowns. What it is it's your brain being squished. And you need your management strategies to get your head out of there. And it can buy you more time. And it could also have the potential of fixing some eye problems, fixing some heart problems, throat problems, swallowing problems, all of these autonomic nervous stuff, sleeping better, sleeping and not having to be on the apnea machine, fixing your apnea, fixing your brain, fixing your memory, fixing your cognitive function, fixing even your prime function of like, I don't want to just remember my list. I want to then imagine and create a new life that I didn't even think about before. And I'm not scared of it. I literally look forward to it because even though I don't have the money, money's going to come and people are going to come. I look forward. Like, how did you feel about life before you grew up? So could we get this back? There's a huge correlation to life beats us down, but it smacks the head in, like the whack-a-mole. And literally, if your head gets crunched down, it's pinching on your brain. And so getting more life is literally getting that head out, getting your head out of the sand and getting your brain out of there so that it can start to look around and go, this is what life is. Oh, yeah. And right now is a perfect opportunity to take this world back and build the life that you want. But you got to have a brain. You got to have a nervous system. Especially you have to have the vagus nerve that basically is like, wow, like it's going to be okay. And it feels good. And it feels like exciting, but yet also relaxing and peaceful and restful and rejuvenative. You rejuve your life. You catch up and you work for it so you can enjoy it. It's the parasympathetic nervous system that enjoys life. The sympathetic hunts for it and buys it and struggles for it and kills it and gets it, right? But then the parasympathetic nervous system has to be able to kick in and say, you got it, you cooked it, now we're going to sit here and enjoy it. You struggled for it, you won it, and now we're going to sit here on this beach and be here and enjoy it and love life and use that to rejuvenate me to go to the next step. And it comes from getting your head out. Get your head out of the sand, getting your head out of your broken heart, healing these things. It's in the body. It's in the form and function of the body. And the form and function of the neck is more than you thought it was. So until next time, this is Jason Eagle, your natural health authority. Get your head out. All right, bye.